Hi, everybody. This is Caroline Sotheby, and welcome to Up, Down, and Around Town. All right, I hope you had a nice weekend, and people are thinking, summer's gone, fall, but we never know, right? Last program we had with Steve Timko, and it's somebody raised a couple questions, and he mentioned something to the fact that there are three things that are for sure in life: death, taxes, and change. Well, I started thinking about that subject, and I was going to go into it, but instead, I got to go to this person here, Jesse Rose from the museum, because you definitely work with change all the time. And last year, a lot of programs were canceled because of COVID. And what has happened since then? Are you on the road to recovery and going on?
Well, hopefully, I think so. First off, thanks, Caroline, for having me here. I'm glad to be on the show again. Yes, I mean, obviously we had a year where we just really couldn't do much of anything. We had scheduled everything and, all of our various events and things like that. And we actually ended up having to cancel everything, in response to the restrictions and such. And it did offer us the opportunity to focus on some things that maybe we had kind of like fallen by the wayside a little bit. Yeah. And so we were able to catch up on some things and do some much needed research and help folks in that way. And also focus on, what we would do when we were back up and running. Of course, you know as well as anybody that we just didn't know. We didn't know when we'd be able to move forward. And it was different from one week to the next. And the problem with that in 2020 is that we kept all of our events on the schedule, but we kind of had that, preface of, hey, it might not run, it's canceled at this point. But we actually were able to run a couple of events in 2020. Mm-hmm. So we did end up having our Halloween open house in October. So that was really great. And we did also have the fall citywide garage sale in September of 2020, which we had a really great turnout for that as well, which really showed that people just wanted to get out there and do something again, even though by that point it had only, I don't want to say only, but it had been, about 6 months. Yeah. We were forced in 2021 to decide what we wanted to do with our events this year as well, just because there's just a lot of uncertainty still, a lot of people out there that, request maybe that you run or you don't run, whatever the situation may be. We just really listen to, guidelines from the state, the city, as well, of course. And we did end up canceling our Pie and Ice Cream Social that was to take place in June. However, we're kind of moving full steam ahead with everything else in 2021, unless we're, told otherwise, or we have to scale it back to some degree. Yeah.
So what is being scheduled and on the go?
Yeah. So in 2021, again, we only had to cancel the Pie and Ice Cream. So we actually did have our spring citywide garage sale in May, which we had a very wonderful turnout of over 250 participants, which is really great. We also just a couple weekends ago, August 28th, we had our Wyandotte Stars, so the vintage baseball team here in Wyandotte, they had their annual home classic, and that was a great turnout, great day. A little hot, but we got through it. So what's upcoming is we have the fall citywide garage sale, September 10th, 11th, and 12th, so this coming weekend. And then we also are going to have the cemetery walk.
And that one is very important to a lot of those people because they want those tickets to
Absolutely. So inarguably, our most popular event is the cemetery walk. Every year when tickets go on sale, we have a slew of buyers out the door, lining up down the sidewalk ready to purchase tickets. So we are definitely expecting that again this year, especially since we couldn't have the event in 2020, and a lot of other venues and businesses and cities and such couldn't have their similar events. So I think people are just chomping at the bit to come to the cemetery walk this year. We've had so many calls, and we even had a lady stop in today to buy tickets already. At least one lady. I think there might have been more. But
are you doing it beforehand?
We're not selling tickets yet. So
take the name down.
So for everybody out there, we're not selling tickets until September 13th. Tickets are $22 a piece, and they must be purchased in person at our museum office, the Historic Burns Home at 2624 Biddle. And we accept cash and check, no cards, unfortunately. We open at 8 a.m. and they're sold until they sell out, which could be anywhere. I think the shortest time it took was 4 days in the past. Sometimes it might take a little bit longer, but they usually go pretty quick.
Well, how many people are you planning for each session?
So the way that the cemetery walk is laid out is there are 6 time slots per evening. The event itself is October 15th and October 16th. Mm-hmm. Each time slot, and it starts at 6:20 and it's every 20 minutes till 8 o'clock beyond that. Each slot has 32 guests.
Okay.
So for both nights, we're going to have 384 people come through. So it's a lot of people.
Okay. For some people that never went or never heard about it, what do you actually do?
Yeah, so the cemetery walk, it's a very multi-layered event. So, and what I mean by that is you have things that you do on our museum campus, and then you have things that are done at the cemetery. And so when you purchase a ticket, what happens is you show up for your time, and you show up at the museum itself.
Okay.
You get with your group, you get taken in to the foyer of the museum, and we will have a volunteer who is dressed in Victorian era mourning garb, or if you think of just, kind of like the all black clothing with the veil and things of that nature. And she will give a short presentation on the customs of mourning during that time frame.
Yeah. They got some pictures on right now.
Yeah, so I see that we've got a photo of actually our parlor. So that's the formal parlor, and that's how we set it up, and it is actually decorated as such throughout the entire month of October. So even if folks, can't attend the cemetery walk, we have the open house on the 23rd of October, and then of course we're open for tours as well. But so when people get there, that is going to be closed for the first part. They're going to just listen to that morning presentation, and then they're going to pretty much be swept away on a shuttle to the cemetery. Now, this year we're going to be at Mount Carmel Cemetery. The wonderful folks over there have allowed us to use it for the last several years, and we're very thankful for that. It's a great place. And when they depart from the shuttle, they're led through down a path that's lit by lanterns and jack-o'-lanterns. And they have these various stops where they actually, so we actually have, so that's one of our volunteers playing Henry Tone, as we like to call, the celebrity undertaker of Wyandotte. Buried a lot of people for over several decades, and the oldest still, operating business in Wyandotte, or one of the oldest. 1857 is when Tone started, but. So essentially they're going to go through and they're going to listen to different stories of these past Wyandotters' lives or deaths, or whatever kind of illustrious or colorful tales that these past Wyandotte residents would like to tell to the guests. And once they get through that, we're talking maybe about 8 or 9 stops in the cemetery, they board the bus again, come back over to the campus, and they have a presentation. This year, the Downriver Paranormal Investigators are going to present on basically Haunted Michigan and touch a little bit on the investigation they did at the museum back in 2019 when we had a couple overnights where they investigated. There will be some refreshments, and then folks can go over to the museum, and by that point the entire house will be open, so they can see rooms such as that formal parlor with that scene of a young child's funeral, and then also we have a couple of rooms where we're kind of celebrating Halloween from the adult aspect of, kind of having a get together and having a little bit of a party.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. There's a lot entailed in that.
It's a lot I think for $22. I think it's quite worth it.
Well, you know what? Your
lot to
shuttle
it.
would cost. First of all, your food costs, and you had to go through the process of making arrangements with the cemetery. First of all,
Correct.
Who are the actors? How do you get the actors now?
So we usually start reaching out. So we have quite a large core of volunteers that. They do a lot for us, and they're so passionate about the city's history and the museums and the Historical Society as well. And, there's so many that are just literally just dedicated to the cemetery walk. October's their thing. They just love that time of the year.
Yeah.
And maybe the spooky aspect or whatever. And so every year they do the cemetery walk. So we kind of, start with that and then expand on that if we have other needs, which we definitely do. The hardest roles to fill, actually, surprisingly, are those featured speaking spirits in the cemetery.
But you managed to get them.
We do, yeah. We have all of them. Actually, now we're moving on to getting the other volunteers to, we have volunteers for this event. It's over 50 volunteers.
Really?
Volunteers that play guides that lead the groups through the cemetery. They're assistants that kind of round up the rear to make sure everyone stays together. We've got people that operate the gates to make sure no one gets in.
Okay.
And no one gets out. No, I'm kidding. But, just, to make sure that the groups themselves, are able to get in and that anyone who comes and they don't have a ticket, they can't get in. There's people that obviously do the refreshments. There's our volunteers who staff the rooms back at the museum to talk and present on the property itself. We have people that have to set up and tear down. We also have silent spirits in the cemetery, so those are the ones that kind of just walk in the distance and give that kind of aura of, kind of like interesting ambiance. So
the tickets go on sale Monday, September 13th.
Monday, September 13th.
And you have to come in person.
Yes.
In order to get them.
Yes.
All right. So if somebody went there and say, well, I want one for myself, my mother, you're not going to, mother has to come too?
Well, that's okay. I mean, yeah, as long as somebody is there to, to get the
to
tickets
pay for
and
it
to pay for
and
them.
make an account. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, we just need that. But, we've had people come, guests come and purchase 10 or 12 at a time. So.
Okay. All right. I know the Oakwood Cemetery is not actually your property, but you sort of have a group that's taken over and always make sure that there's weeding, there's planting, and anything else. What are they doing next? Because I know they've already gone there a couple of times.
Yeah, the Oakwood Cemetery Association has been doing a wonderful job over the years, and the last couple of years has really made great strides to bring more knowledge to the cemetery, more focus on it, more educate people a little bit more, and also to help to kind of restore the cemetery. Of course, there's definitely some issues, but the group over there that's headed by Mary Jonaween they're just doing so wonderful. In fact, probably about a month ago, they had a headstone restoration workshop. So that was about
really?
a 7 to 8 hour day. That was fun. It just got people out there to learn how to clean and restore headstones, all the way from, like I said, just cleaning to actually setting cement molds and replacing bases and repairing stones. And it was intense, but it was great. It was a great day. So in terms of, what they're kind of doing, I think that they're really focusing on trying to always bring more attention to the cemetery. They're planting trees out there. They've planted a lot, like you had mentioned, a lot of flowers, and to get people educated also on who's in there. so that they're constantly researching to make sure that they know who is in the cemetery, and so that they can also better answer questions on things such as that as well.
Well, I know a couple months ago, before when they had a lot of volunteers, FOP was actually fixing up that one spot where they were taking monuments that were sort of loose and didn't know exactly what person was represented or where. And I guess they're putting in that one area. It's going to be just seclusive.
Yeah. I can't really speak for a lot of what they're doing. I can really only speak as to what I know.
Yeah.
But yes, I am aware of that section because unfortunately the records just haven't survived, and
Right.
so the ability to tell who's in there, let alone where, it's very difficult. And so when they do find sort of like those stray headstones, they
Got to have a place.
Yeah, they kind of set up this temporary area. I don't know if it's just temporary, but this area
Until
so
they
that
find the source.
yeah,
Where they
if they
belong.
ever do, right? But just to kind of restore them, make them presentable again, and bring some awareness to these people who are actually in that cemetery.
Yeah, many years ago.
Many years.
And you talk about change. There's been change from there to even this day. Talking about this one, I finally dragged that out of my closet. It's been sitting there for years. I don't even remember when we purchased it. You said you have updated ones. You still have some. I mean, Grassy Island, you have Eureka Iron, the Columbia. I got pictures of them. Of course, there's your Bacon Home, Fort McNichol, and the Marks one. That's the old version of the hospital many moons ago. And I have a story in the scrapbook of Nick Linden when she came into town many moons ago because she was looking for a job to be a nurse. And of course, they always had a nurse's home, which they no longer have. But I got pictures of that. And of course, the Oak Street station. I lived on Electric near that. Many times I'd go sit in there and watch the train stop. And
Yeah.
but those are changes again.
Changes, yeah.
Yeah. So what kind of updated versions do you have of that somebody can pick up?
Well, so the gift shop at the museum, the Historical Society actually operates that gift shop, and so they do have two versions of this throw, and one of them is green and white, but it has similar
pictures?
Yeah, similar pictures. The other one is multicolored, and it's Wyandotte churches. So those are available. I believe they're $25 a piece.
Well, it could be. Like I had mentioned to you, I brought out this book. This woman, many years ago, she was born in Russia. She and her family went to Estonia. World War II came. She had gotten married, and because they were going to the railroad station, and he ended up being taken over by the Russian soldiers. She never saw him since. They were in camps, and sooner or later, she managed to get into the States and down to Wyandotte. And that version over there is two of her pictures. What you talk about, that's probably where it's from, the spirals of all the churches in Wyandotte at that time.
Could be. It could have been one of the inspirations, or, Wyandotte, obviously, with all of the different cultures that settled in the area over time, you needed a congregational space for all of them. And so there were just so many churches.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that that's the other inspiration. So just everywhere you turned, there was a church. So.
And she managed to get them all. I have all the names of it, but like I said, if somebody actually wants to see it, it's on the 3rd floor in the mayor's conference room. I'm sure they'd have to say, hey, can we? But anyway, for you that don't know, now you do. Gee, all right. So we have that upcoming. Next year, are you still going back to Mount Carmel again to the cemetery?
So that will depend. We will, we'll assess where, Oakwood Cemetery is at that point. We'd love to have it again at Oakwood. There are some things that we just, there are some issues with the cemetery that, just make it a little unsafe for the volunteers and folks currently, which again, they're working on, and that's wonderful. So it's just really going to depend. We'll assess that next year, so we'll see.
And of course, usually the holidays, you have tours.
Yeah, so after the cemetery walk, the Halloween open house is October 23rd. That's free. That's from 5 to 8 p.m. And so folks can just come in and see all the different decorations and such, and the gift shop will be open. I'm sorry, we have our 125th anniversary, which is going to be November 6th and 7th. So those are going to be a couple of days where we're going to have special items on display. We're not completely, everything's not completely solidified, so I don't want to give too much information away just yet. But the idea is, we'll be open Saturday and Sunday from noon to 4 for folks to come in and just learn more about the history of the home, the folks who lived in the home, what Wyandotte might have been like 125 years ago to kind of commemorate that building year. And then other items that we have in our storage facilities and collections that we can bring out and show people that may not have seen the light of day ever, possibly. So that will be November 6th and 7th, so stay tuned for more on that.
Okay.
And then in December 3rd, 10th, and 17th, we have our Festive Fridays, so the museum will be, at least the first floor, will be decorated for the season at that time.
You gonna have any carolers or anything?
Possibly. We usually do, yeah. We usually contact Roosevelt High School, and some kids will come over and do some caroling, but we're also looking into other options as well. So we'll see.
Something different.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, another thing that went to the wayside is the Heritage Days. You guys used to have that.
Yeah, I know, parts of it are what now have been the inspiration for what we call the Heritage Event Series. So rather than focusing on one particular time of the year over so many days, it's now themed throughout the year. Of course, it does take away some of the things that people really enjoyed seeing, like reenactments and things like that, but it's still kind of here in a sense. So
okay, now that you're here and you've gotten a story about the museum, how are you doing? Are you all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, doing all right, yeah.
And you have a new person working there?
I do, yeah. So we have a new assistant in the museum. Her name's Audrey Wicklander. She's been with us now for about 6 months. She's actually a student over at Eastern Michigan University in the graduate program, the Historic Preservation Program.
Oh, really?
She's got about a year or so to go. So she's just really thrilled to be there and kind of working in the industry.
That's great. How long are you going to be there after graduation?
So
she's going.
So nobody
I don't
knows.
know.
Nobody knows this, but she's off on the wings. And Caroline sees her, but you guys can't.
Yeah, she's in that corner. She said she didn't want to come on. But next time we'll get her on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot. Like I said, it's happening. You got a lot of information you're still working on. So you're going to update us, so to speak, as it comes up, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'd be remiss if I didn't also just, because you asked about this too, just remind everybody that the museum is definitely open for tours, Thursday through Sunday from 1 to 5. There are some times where, unfortunately, we don't have enough coverage. That's been happening a lot, especially over the last year and a half. So our apologies if you come and, there's a sign on our door. But for the most part, we're there Thursday through Sunday, 1 to 5. It's free admission. The other thing is if people want to schedule their own tour outside of that, or
Oh,
if they want to
okay.
schedule a group tour of 5 or more people or something, you can certainly contact our office, and we will be more than happy to schedule
What's
that
the
with
number?
you. That is 734-324-7284.
7284. Okay. Now the tour, does that include the basement where you have all the, really?
Yeah, so the entire home would be open, so all 4 floors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. I'm grateful that you finally came on, because last year was sort of iffy, and even the first part of this year was.
Yeah.
And keep our fingers crossed that we can continue on, and who knows. But before we go, I have to mention a couple things. I know a lot of you people didn't see local sports this week because of Monday being a Labor Day. For you that wanted to keep up, Allen Park, Carlson, and Woodhaven are undefeated so far. Wyandotte will be going to Southgate this weekend, but Carlson will be playing Allen Park, so one of them will have to lose, right? Another thing that's very important, we've talked already several times about gleaners going to Yak Arena on the Friday, which is this Friday coming up, usually 9 to 11 o'clock. They also have this, and there's another special event that American Legion Van Alstyne on the River will be featuring, and that's Tuesday, the 14th, between 10, is it 10? Yeah, 10 a.m. to 2, or until all the supplies last. So if you know of a family, a soldier, or anybody that would appreciate having some food, don't forget this date. That's Tuesday, and that's the 14th from 10 a.m. to 2. Anyway, thank you for coming, and have a good Halloween.
Thank you so much again for having me, and hopefully we'll see everybody at the museum at some point,
Yeah.
So
Okay.
come on down.
Come on down. Okay, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Up, Down, and Around Town. Take care now. Bye-bye.